It all began with a local legend about the Hollow Ravine, a place so steeped in superstition that even seasoned hikers avoided it. Nestled in a remote region surrounded by dense woods, the ravine was said to consume those who dared to explore its depths. 6 hikers had gone missing in just 3 months, their bodies never recovered. The authorities had chalked it up to accidents, unstable terrain, wild animals, but whispers of the supernatural told a different story. David, a documentary filmmaker, decided to uncover the truth. Along with his crew, Mia, Alex, Rachel, and Tom, he planned an expedition to the ravine. Equipped with cameras, recording equipment, and enough supplies for a week, they set off into the unknown. The forest grew denser the closer they got to the ravine. The trees seemed unnaturally twisted, their branches clawing at the sky. Strange symbols carved into the bark appeared with increasing frequency, and a chilling silence enveloped the area, broken only by the crunch of leaves beneath their boots. By the time they reached the ravine, the sun had begun to set, painting the jagged cliffs in hues of blood red. A foul stench hung in the air, faint but unmistakable. As they set up camp, the first sign of trouble appeared, a mutilated deer carcass lying near their tents. "It's probably just a predator," Tom muttered, though his voice betrayed his unease. That night, as they reviewed their footage, the camera picked up faint whispers. No one had spoken during the recording. Determined to push forward, the group began their descent into the ravine the next morning. The air grew colder, and the sunlight barely penetrated the thick canopy above. The deeper they went, the stranger the terrain became. Rocks seemed to pulse faintly, as though alive. The ground was littered with bones, animal and human. Mia discovered a necklace among the debris, its pendant shaped like an unrecognizable sigil. She pocketed it without telling the others. The whispers grew louder, now audible even without the cameras. Rachel stopped abruptly, her face pale. "Did you hear that?" she asked, clutching Alex's arm. "What?" "It said my name." No one else had heard it, but the group pressed on, shaken. By the time they reached the ravine floor, an oppressive darkness had settled over them. They discovered an opening in the rock, a tunnel carved into the earth, its entrance lined with more of the strange symbols they had seen on the trees. Inside, the air was thick with humidity and the scent of decay. The walls were damp and covered in what looked like black mold. As they ventured deeper, they found crude paintings of figures worshipping a massive, featureless being with elongated limbs. Their flashlights began to flicker, and the whispers turned into guttural growls. The tunnel opened into a cavern, its ceiling so high they couldn't see it. In the center was a pool of black water, its surface unnaturally still. Tom, ever the skeptic, approached the pool, despite the others' warnings. He peered into its depths and froze, his expression turning to one of pure terror. "What is it?" David asked, but Tom didn't respond. Instead, he stepped into the water, as though in a trance. The others tried to pull him back, but the pool seemed to come alive, its surface bubbling and churning. Black tendrils shot out, wrapping around Tom and dragging him under. His screams echoed through the cavern, then ceased abruptly. Panicking, the group fled back into the tunnel, but the way they had come was no longer there. The walls had shifted, forming a new path. "We're trapped," Alex said, his voice trembling. As they wandered the maze-like tunnels, their flashlights continued to flicker. The air grew colder, and their breath came out in visible puffs. Mia began to act strangely, muttering to herself and clutching the necklace she had found. She claimed to hear a voice guiding her, telling her how to escape. The group encountered the first clear sign of the ravine's true nature, a massive, pulsating mass of flesh embedded in the wall. It was covered in dozens of unblinking eyes, each one tracking their movements. "Don't look at it," Rachel whispered, pulling David away. But it was too late for Alex, who stood frozen, his gaze locked with one of the eyes. The creature lunged, a grotesque appendage breaking free from the wall and impaling Alex. His body convulsed as it was absorbed into the mass, leaving nothing behind. With only 3 of them left, the group stumbled upon an ancient altar deep within the cavern. The symbols carved into it glowed faintly, and in its center was a book bound in human skin. Mia, now fully under the influence of the voice, grabbed the book and began chanting in a language none of them recognized. "Stop her!" Rachel shouted, but David hesitated. Before they could intervene, the cavern shook violently. From the pool of black water emerged the being from the paintings, a towering, faceless entity with elongated limbs and an aura of pure malevolence. The whispers reached a deafening crescendo as the creature advanced. David and Rachel tried to run, but the creature moved with impossible speed, blocking their path. Mia, now fully consumed by whatever force had taken her, stood before the altar, her eyes glowing unnaturally. "You can't escape," she said in a voice that was not her own. "The abyss claims all." The creature extended a clawed hand toward Rachel, who screamed as her body was torn apart and absorbed into its form. David, the last remaining member of the group, backed away in terror. He tripped over the edge of the altar and fell into the black pool. As he sank, the whispers turned into a deafening roar, and he realized the truth: this wasn't just a place of death, it was a gateway to something far worse. The last thing he saw before darkness consumed him was the creature looming over the altar, its hollow gaze fixed on him. The ravine remained silent once more, waiting for its next victims.